Hi, this is Charla Bennett. I'm an education consultant with Steelcase Education Solutions, and I have recorded part 3 of 3 of tutorials and tips on using the Fuse Visualizer. This is the third in the series, and we'll be covering the action functions of several of the buttons on the Fuse Visualizer. To begin, let's take a look at how the zoom feature works. You'll notice there are several buttons on top of the actual Fuse Visualizer. The plus and the minus are going to allow you to zoom in and out on the center of an image. It's important to know that the maximum zoom in capability is 800%. If you happen to be utilizing the magnetic icon strip that came with the Fuse Visualizer, you'll notice that there is also a plus and minus indicator on the icon strip. So you can use that to zoom in and zoom out of the image as well. So let's take a look at an example to see how that works in reality. Here I have a picture of a cell. I can utilize the zoom in, zoom out capability. Remember that it's focused on the center of the image. So in this case, I'm going to keep zooming into the nucleus. As you learned in part 2 of the tutorials, always utilize the autofocus when you change the image on the camera. And then I'm going to use the zoom out on the icon strip with my Eno stylus, so you can see how it works with the same capability. And autofocus again. Let's talk about how you would zoom into a selection. The zoom selection option is the magnifying glass with the plus on top of it. So to zoom into a particular area of the image, I'm going to click once on the zoom selection button. You'll notice my cursor changes to crosshairs as I drag the selected area that I want to zoom into. When you let go, the crosshairs will disappear, and you can then use the zoom in capability to look specifically at the marqueed area that you selected. Once again, I always use the autofocus so the camera adjusts based on the new area that I selected. To reset the image, we covered this in section 2. You can always click the reset button. Okay, this brings us to a good place for visiting the rotate button. Because I reset the image and my page of my science book is upside down relative to the Fuse Visualizer, I'm going to need to use the rotate button to adjust so that the image is right side up. Do not confuse the reset button with the rotate button. They both have an arrow on them, but you want to use the rotate button either on the Fuse application toolbar, or you can use the rotate button on the magnetic icon strip. That would be right here. And you'll notice that the image rotates 90 degrees clockwise every time you select the rotate button. So when you have it oriented, you can use the autofocus to bring the image to maximum clarity. Let's talk about how to use your Fuse Visualizer as a webcam. Let's talk about how to capture and save a live video file to your computer. Keep in mind that the video file will be saved on your computer as an MPEG, M-P-E-G file. And to begin capturing using your Fuse Visualizer, you're going to utilize the button that has a video camera on it. So you have that button in the application window. You have that button on your magnetic icon strip, and you also have the button on the base of the Fuse Visualizer itself. So what would be an instance when you wanted to capture a video in your classroom? Well, maybe you wanted to record a student performance, or you wanted to give students an up-close look at a science experiment, which is what I'm going to do right now. It's not really a science experiment as much as an interaction that demonstrates surface tension. Grab my materials. Got to be careful because I have water here. And I'm hoping the black background will still allow you to see what I'm about to do here. So I just have a bowl of water, and I'm going to sprinkle pepper on the surface of the water. See how it kind of gathers together. When you're ready to start capturing the video, you're going to press once on the video button. And now I'm going to put a drop of detergent right in the middle, and you'll see how the pepper scatters because I decrease the surface tension. So that's a great example of how you might want to use the video capture capability to give your students a close-up look into something that you're doing either in a lab environment. This could be something like measuring the map scale on a map. You're showing students some precise steps to do something. To stop capturing the video, I'm just going to click on the video button one more time. And now this MPEG video is going to be saved to the video file that I specified in my tools and options setup. So let me get my science experiment out of the way here. And let's visit how that video is stored or where it goes. By default, the MPEG file is going to be saved into your My Documents and your video file, But if you want to change the location of where a video is saved, you're going to go to your tool options. And then underneath the video save path area, you can change where your videos are saved to. So in my case, if I follow the hierarchy here, I can see it's in the My Documents, in My Videos, and then I also created a subfolder specifically for my Fuse video captures. That's something that you can do as well if you want to click on the Make a New Folder and then rename the folder something that makes sense to you so you can find it again later. Let's go back and see if I can find my file of the pepper experiment so I can show you that it did indeed save. So I'm going to go to My Documents, My Videos, Fuse Video Captures. I can rename the file if I want. Right now it's just called Fuse 5. And now I'm going to put a drop of detergent right in the middle, and you'll see how the pepper scatters because I decrease the surface tension. So that's a great example of how you might want to use the video. So there's just a replaying of the video I captured. You'll notice that it did record my voice using the built-in microphone on my computer. So there is not a built-in microphone on the Fuse camera. All of the audio will be recorded through your computer. One additional adjustment that you can make for the video preferences, if you would like to change the video save quality, you can use the slider to reduce or increase the quality of video. Just keep in mind that as you increase the save quality, you're also increasing the size of the saved video. Okay, another button to consider, it is on the top of the Fuse camera. It is also on the Fuse application, and it is on the magnetic icon strip, is the lock image button. So a good reason that you would use the lock image would be if you were getting ready to switch out materials under your Fuse visualizer and you didn't want it to jostle and make students dizzy as you move the image. So if you click the lock image one time, it's going to display a static image. So right now, if I move things, which I'm doing right now under my camera, the audience is not seeing me move items because it captured a static picture, a static image of what was under my camera. Once I have repositioned my material and I'm ready to display again, you're going to click the display lock button one more time so it's no longer lit up with green, and then the image will once again be live. So I think we covered the functionality of these three buttons: rotate, capture video, display lock. Let's go on to our next set of tools. We're going to speak about the maximize image or the full screen option. So when you are in the Fuse application, you'll notice you can minimize and maximize the application. That's different than using the full screen capability. Full screen capability is going to take away all of the toolbars within the application. So let me display how that works. I will also make the toolbar become opaque. So full screen are the four arrows pointing in opposite directions. I clicked on it, it maximized the image, and it also makes the toolbar opaque. It disappears down towards the bottom. If you need to get the toolbar back, you're going to hover your cursor or your mouse towards the bottom of the image, or you can also use the escape key on your keyboard to exit out of full screen. If you would like to lock the toolbar or pin it to full screen mode, you'll notice the up-down arrow here collapses and expands the toolbar. To pin it into place, you're going to press the push pin, and that will leave your tools available after you collapse the toolbar. So once again, my best advice is to launch your Fuse visualizer and actually get in there and explore and practice with it and determine if using full screen is going to work best in your classroom, and get a little bit more hands-on orientation to how to use the collapse and pinning of the toolbar. Whenever you want to escape out of full screen, just use the escape key on your keyboard. Another option is to press the 4-pointed arrow. That will escape you out of full screen as well. Okay, let's talk about how to copy a selected image from print material. So it could be a chart, or it could be a book with maps in it. In my case, I'm going to use my good old science book material again. But if I have the entire page displayed, so I adjusted the gooseneck arm to capture the entire page, if I want to grab just a part of the page to paste into an external program, maybe into a Word document or a PowerPoint display that I'm going to use in my classroom, let me show you how to do that. First, I'm going to use my autofocus button, which I always do, get into the habit of using autofocus. And then you're going to use the copy selection tool. It looks like two squares, one of them has dotted lines. So I'm going to click on copy selection, and then I'm going to drag with my cursor around the part of the document that I want to capture. So in this case, just the section on prokaryotic cells. When I let go, you're going to see the screen flashes twice. That means that my selection has been copied to the clipboard. And now I'm going to Word document and use Control V on my keyboard to paste my selection into my external program. So it might be Word again, it might be PowerPoint, some other presentation tool that you're comfortable using. So just to review, that was the Select Image tool that we just covered from some sort of a book or a paper document. Okay, let's go ahead and cover the Print a Screen Image functionality. So within the Fuse application, you'll notice that there is a button that has a printer on it. You have some options for turning TrueSnap capability on and off. We covered what TrueSnap functionality was in part 2 of this 3-part series. So you have options of turning TrueSnap on before you click the print option. If you want to change what printer your captured image is going to print to, you're going to do that in the Tools Options area. So let's review that. I'm going to look at the Select Printer section, and using the drop-down arrow, you can switch to any of the local printers that are networked to your computer. That's where the output image is going to appear. So in this case, whatever you're seeing within the Fuse window is what is going to be printed out. So in this case, it would be the entire page. I can also zoom in and select certain part of the book, and whatever I'm seeing on my screen is what the output to the printer is going to be. Okay, our final part of the tutorial, I wanted to cover some basic tips and suggestions for how to use the Fuse camera. Always make sure that you focus the image first before you do anything else. So that's with the autofocus button. Using good lighting will minimize the shadows that you see on your image. Requires a minimum of 1024 by 768 resolution, and we covered how to adjust the resolution in section 2 of this tutorial within the Tools Options area. If you can set it even higher, you're going to get a better output of your camera. Another suggestion that I've learned from our engineering staff is to maintain at least 4 inches between the lens, and whatever your subject is. And a good guide for about 4 inches is the span of your hand from pinky to index finger. It's going to be a little bit larger than that unless you have extremely large hands, but that gives you an idea of about what 4 inches is. Okay, try to keep the corners and the edges exposed, especially when you're using True Snap, because you need to have at least 3 edges for True Snap square option and unbind to work. And one thing that was difficult for me to get used to was to avoid using glossy paper, because with glossy paper the LED light will reflect off the gloss of the ink and cause a glare effect. So those are all really important items to consider. In closing, I would recommend that you take a look at page 14 of your Fuse User's Guide for direction on cleaning and caring for your Fuse visualizer. So this concludes the 3rd in the series of instructional tutorials on how to use the Fuse visualizer. I greatly thank you for your time and hope that this recording was helpful.